Hello students, good morning, good afternoon and good evening. This is Madhuri Malatkar, Assistant Professor, Government First Grade College, Birur, Chikmagalur District. Today I am going to speak about The World Renowned Nose, which is written by Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. The World Renowned Nose is a satire which is humorous and criticizes the society, politics, and the general mob. Vaikam Muhammad Bashir is a modern Malayalam novelist, short story writer, and freedom fighter. He is born in Kerala. He is credited with reshaping the modern Malayalam prose. The themes of his stories are love, poverty, hunger, and social criticism. The world-renowned Nose is perhaps influenced by Nikolai Gogol's short story The Nose. It's a satire about how the political system works in our country and how every small bit of news is sensationalized and each party wanted to get the benefit from the event. The hero of our story was a cook. He was not intelligent. He could not read and write. His world was confined to kitchen. He could eat to his satisfaction, take as much snuff as he wanted, sleep, work. This was his routine life. He did not know the names of the months of the year. When it was time for him to receive his salary, his mother would come and collect it. If he wanted snuff, the old woman herself would buy it for him. When he reached his 24th year, then an amazing thing happened in his life. That is, his nose began to grow. The nose passed his mouth and reached the level of his chin. And the nose began to grow in length every day. Within a month, the nose reached his navel. He could breathe freely. He could inhale snuff. He could distinguish between smell. There was no any problem because of the long nose. But he was dismissed from the work. Nobody thought about the reason why he was dismissed from his work. No group came forward for his support. Political parties shut their eyes to this event, injustice. No lover of humanity came forward. He was a poor cook. No one came to his help. The reason behind why he was dismissed from his work was actually the people living in the house where he worked could find no peace or quiet because of him. People came visiting night and day to see long-nosed one and his nose. Photographers troubled them. News reporters became nuisance. Number of things were stolen from the house. As the dismissed cook sat starving in his lowly hut, he was convinced of one thing. His nose had acquired great publicity. People from distant lands came to see him. They stood stunned with surprise at his long nose. Some touched it too, but no one asked, "Have you eaten today? Why did you look so weak?" There was no money in the hut, not even to buy a small packet of snuff. All came to see him, enjoyed that, but no one cared for his food. Then he was worried. One day he called his old mother aside and told her in a whisper, "Get these horrid people out and shut the door." The mother promptly sent them all out and closed the door. People began to bribe the mother to see the son's nose. Then the income of the long nosed one grew day by day. In 6 years, the poor cook became a millionaire. He acted in films thrice. 6 poets wrote epic poems about the noble qualities of the long nosed one. 9 well known writers wrote biographies of the long nosed one and won wealth and acclaim. His princely abode was also a guest house open to all. Anyone at any time could get a meal there and a bit of snuff. He had 2 secretaries. Two were very beautiful women. Both of them loved the long nosed one. Both of them worshipped him. When two beautiful women love the same man at the same time, there is definitely trouble. Trouble came into the life of long nosed one. Throughout the world, all the people began to love the long nosed one. That long nose reaching down to the navel was considered a sign of greatness. The long nosed one gave his opinion on important world events. Whatever the important event, he has to comment on that. All liked to listen from the mouth of the long nosed man. It was at this time that conspiracies were hatched to capture the long nosed one. First of all, it was the government that made an attempt to capture the long nosed one. They tried to trick. The government awarded him the title Chief of the Long Nosed Ones and gave him a medal. It was the president himself who tied the jeweled gold medal around the neck of the long nosed one. All the political parties of the country came forward enthusiastically to join long nosed man for their party. As there were many parties, long nosed one could not join any party. And even the secretaries, there was fight among them. One of the secretaries wanted him to join her party. Another secretary does not wanted him to join any party. Members of other party got hold of one of the secretaries and forced her to give statement against long-nosed man. That secretary announced to the public that the long-nosed one is a fraud and his nose is not real, it is made of rubber. Suddenly, all the newspapers begin to announce the news in the front pages. Cables, telephone calls, and letters came from all parts of the world. The president was allowed no peace or quiet. Then, another opposing party took the help of another secretary and made public statement through her that the long-nosed one is a faithful one and she is his true secretary and his long nose is the real one. People were confused because both the secretaries gave contradictory statement about the nose. The leaders of the party against the long-nosed one began finding fault with the president and the government. They also announced that the president must resign, the ministry must resign, the rubber-nosed one must be killed. Then the president reacted angrily. One morning, the army and the tankers surrounded the house of the poor long-nosed one. He was arrested and taken away. There was no news for the long time about long-nosed one. announcement from the president one day that the trial of the chief of the long-nosed ones will take place on 9th March. Expert doctors from 48 countries are going to examine him. All the newspapers announced this news, and people anywhere, they could not keep calm. They came in large numbers into the metropolis. They invaded the hotels. They burnt public conveyances. They set fire to police station. They destroyed government buildings. There were communal riots. Quite a number of men and women died as martyrs in this fight for long-nosed one. Finally, on 9th March at 11 a.m., the square in front of President Palace was full of people. Loudspeakers announced the examination has begun. Doctors surrounded the long-nosed one in the presence of president and cabinet ministers. One doctor blocked the nostrils of the long-nosed one. He immediately opened his mouth wide. That was one way of testing his nose. Another doctor took a needle and punctured the tip of his nose. To his amazement, a drop of blood appeared at the tip of the nose. The doctors gave their unanimous opinion that the nose is not made of rubber, it is genuine and real. The president thought of another gimmick now. He nominated the long-nosed one as member of parliament. He became MP. 3 universities confirmed doctorates on him. The Honorable Long-Nose Delete. The ignorant people acclaimed the actions of the equally ignorant government which ruled over them. This is a statement made by Waika Muhammad Bashir about the ignorant people and also the ignorant government which ruled them. Anyhow, the story ends with long-nosed one becoming MP. The person who was innocent, ignorant, and uneducated, poor, became the victim of all the political parties. Each party wanted to make benefit by the event, and at last the ruling government took him to his side, that is, occupied him and made its rule.